Welcome to Tulsa Titans, highlighting our local professionals who are making an impact. Very excited today. I've got Brian Miller. He is the president of Brainerd Chemical. Brian, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Kellen. How are you?
Good, man. Thanks for giving us some time.
Yeah, I appreciate you having us.
Can you start us off just by telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I'm from South Louisiana. I've only been in Oklahoma for about 9 years, but I spent all of my youth in a little town called Lake Charles, Louisiana. That area is known for the chemical industry on the Gulf Coast, but grew up there and went to college at Louisiana Tech University, where I got my chemical engineering degree. With that background being in that area with all the chemical industry, chemical engineering made the most sense for me. So graduated from Louisiana Tech with chemical engineering degree, and then got a master's of business administration from LSU as I started working for a chemical company. So I basically worked for the same company. It wasn't the same company. They changed hands a few times for about 20 years. So I traveled quite a bit whenever I first started working, basically as a manager, engineer within a chemical plant. I did that for basically 12 years in Louisiana, in Georgia, eventually moving on to Texas, the state of Texas, and managing a traveling engineering group, which was my first corporate level opportunity. And it really was a big deal for me because it really opened up my eyes as far as how a corporation works, but it also gave me an opportunity to use what I've learned and to be able to install processes into our organization. That's one of my strong suits. Is I'm a process oriented guy. I'm an operations manager at heart, and looking at the way things work and trying to figure out how to make them better, or doing something new and getting those going within an organization. That was one of the biggest things that taught me I could work in a corporate environment and really improve, whether it's a location, different parts of a company. I can work with people to help us, do things together and take something that we want to improve and install a process to make that happen. Eventually I moved to Tulsa, not long after that, and I was plant manager of a chemical plant in Tulsa, really a high pressure environment, making chemicals in the semiconductor industry. A lot of stress, a lot of pressure, but we had great results. Did great things as a team, and eventually had an opportunity to join Brainerd Chemical. Brainerd was looking for someone to kind of take control and ownership of the operations within the company. Really, looking for someone to drive continuous improvement, look for value and efficiencies in the organization, and run with it. So I became vice president of operations when I came in, and really focused on getting to know the people, understanding what we were doing within the organization, and then challenging some of the norms that were there, some of the things that have always been done, and challenging those to drive improvement throughout the whole organization. So fortunately, we were able to take on initiatives. We're very fortunate because Brainerd and the executive team was so open and willing to accept change, and basically look for the results and gain from those. But over that time, I was able to become COO, and then January this year became president of Brainerd through those experiences.
Congratulations on the promotion.
Thank you.
We were talking off mic, and this is where I want to start digging in, that hard things are hard. Mm-hmm. And so you guys, I usually ask about the last couple of years because things in our community have changed, but you guys had some big undertakings, and you met with your team and just kind of let them know what that would look like. We talked about that, and then we talked about some of the transparency you have in your executive meetings. Can you talk about those 2 points for us?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if we can't be honest with ourselves and be honest with what we're looking at, how can we move forward if we can't take a look at the things that, you know, we do well and the things that we don't do well? And that's one of the greatest things about this organization is, you know, we have an owner that he doesn't have a problem with someone challenging him and challenging the organization because it makes us better, right? So from the very beginning, that's what we did is we challenged. We challenged we started with environmental health and safety and challenged our environmental health and safety record. And I'm proud to say we're now as good as anybody when it comes to environmental health and safety. Chemical companies look at recordability as the measure. And, you know, we've gone 2 years without a recordable injury in the chemical industry. And especially we're in distribution, chemical distribution. We have a lot of touches. And when I mean we have a lot of touches, we move things from A to B a lot more than a large scale chemical company would. And so we're really proud that, you know, we really had to look at ourselves in the face, look at ourselves in the mirror and really say, this isn't good enough. We're going to do better. And got to give the credit to our guys, our employees that, you know, we made a lot of changes. We made a lot of procedural changes and really work together to get where we want to be, which is, man, it's so important. We want people to go home the way they came to work every single day. And we've been able to do that. Now, other instances of that are looking at how we look at cost, looking at our sales team and how we look at profitability. You know, setting some rules for how we do business and sticking by. You know, we have rules for a reason and business rules, business practice rules. When we're saying, you know, we're going to have sales for different types of business that we do, they have to make a certain amount of money or they won't make any money. And so they always had rules, but we worked harder on making sure that we were following those rules and holding ourselves accountable. And by doing that, we were able to get those things under control. And then we were able to, on top of that, add some technology and efficiency in our daily work day. Once again, challenging the norms, challenging what we do every day. And then you get the benefit of that. And then we were able to do some things on our cost side that the world we live in today, that our costs have risen so much compared to what they used to be. If you don't take on the internal projects to make yourself better, use continuous improvement to drive efficiency. And when you drive efficiency, you lower your cost. Well, then when you get hit with things that are beyond you, you know, a lot of things that are going on in our world right now are beyond us. But when you're doing the things to get better every day, and you take on the quarterly projects and the semi-annual projects and the annual projects, and you achieve and you complete those, you get to reap the benefit of it, and then you can compete better versus your competitors.
No, you absolutely can. It might not be the most elegant way to say it, but just like a diet, right? Is if there's points in your day every day that you cheat a little bit, there's always fat. There's always fat in the company until you really look. And we are at a point in time where all these up and coming companies even have so much technology at their fingertips. If you're not lean and efficient, you're going to get beat out.
Yeah, and continuous improvement is such a big deal for me. It is a big deal because we have to teach, right? I can know how to do something, but if the people that work for us, the people that run our facilities, if they hear me saying things about continuous improvement, then I walk out the door and nothing else comes from it, well, we didn't achieve anything. It's just this guy that came in and speaking to the group. The big thing is talking to our employees and understanding, hey, what's the worst thing we do here? What's the worst thing we do here? And then you listen to what the employees are saying. Their worst thing might not even be that bad. But you know what? They told you what it is. And so can we do something about that? In most cases, I've had so much success asking that simple question. It sounds bad. Well, what do you mean? We have something that's really bad. Hey, we're not perfect. We all need to be better, right? Within our executive team, the way we run this company is through it's called Executive Operating System, and it's built to challenge us. You know, we have an executive coach that works for us. That's the sole purpose of that role is to challenge us, to make sure we're pushing ourselves to be better. But what I love about our team is it starts at the top. Our owner and the culture that he's instilled in this company. Being a family-owned business, it's a different feel from a, you know, mid-level chemical company or a large chemical company. It's got a different feel to it. There's a different care value there, and you know, you see that, and you're like, I have to make sure I'm leading this company the same way, with that same care, that passion. We're not the same. I'm going to have a different twist on it, but at the end of the day, we want to make sure that our employees know we care for them. But we're going to push. We're going to push ourselves. We're going to push the company. You know, we're going to push ourselves to be better. And one of the ways we do that within our executive team is we challenge each other. And it's very interesting that we have short memories. We can kind of go at it and battle a little bit on a topic, and we can have difference of opinion. But at the end of the day, when we walk out the door, we don't take it personal. And you know, that night we might be at dinner that night. You know, that's I think that's one of our strengths, is that we can have these conversations that really challenge ourselves and try to challenge our organization. We can have differences of opinion, but no one takes it personal. No one, and it doesn't stop anybody from coming back the next time with that next thing, that next opportunity we have, and not fearful of having that conversation.
No, that's great. And I know it leads to success in organizations, but how do you breed a culture? So from just the standard employee all the way to the executive, where people feel like they have a voice, how does that set forth? And then how do you communicate as the key executive in those strategic meetings that, hey, nothing's off the table, like you need to bring it. We need all the ideas. We need to be transparent. We're not going to take it personal.
So I want to start with the first part, which is, you know, how do we make sure that the employees from the ground up understand what we're trying to accomplish? You know, what are our goals? What's important, and to make sure they know that we care about what's going on. And first thing is being present. We're still a small company. I just 2 weeks ago, I was able to hit every one of our locations in the matter of 3 weeks. We do quarterly presentations on the state of our company, and we do that on site. And you know, when you go on property, you have time to walk around, look around, talk to the employees. I've been around long enough. I've been around over 5 years now, where a lot of our employees, they saw me as a different role. So that's a little bit of a benefit for me, is they saw me as an operations manager or as a vice president of operations, where the plants were directly running through me. So we were able to do a lot of things project wise that directly benefited the employee. Now, as you move up in the organization, now how do you continue to do that? And that's really where I'm having to pivot a little bit, where it goes back to the employees that work for me, and it goes to the executive meetings, our executive operating system, because that filters down throughout the whole organization. So we have an executive level setup or meeting, and then the goals that are driven from that, from the annual meeting, that gets drilled down and submitted through the rest of the organization, so that everybody's on the same page and how we're trying to move and how we set our goals.
What about personally? As you've walked through, we started off talking about how the last couple of years were different. You guys bit off some big challenges and projects through those last 2 years to just be more efficient. But what have you done for yourself? Have you reevaluated and saw, hey, I'm not investing time in these things, I need more? And have you stripped certain things away? What does that look like?
Well, I'm an operations guy at heart. And so it goes back to challenging. Our executive team has challenged me to understand I'm an operations guy. I love operations. I like to know what our plants are doing, but the reality is we're running a complete organization. And so one of the biggest changes for me is letting go of some of the details that I really don't need to be handling anymore. We have high quality people that know how to do their jobs. We've made managerial changes that we need to make within the organization to bring in the right people to help lead our organization. So those people are running the operations and the manufacturing side. And on the flip side, for me, I'm spending more time on the business side. I'm digging into things that are not as familiar with me as what's going on in our accounting group, our purchasing groups, our sales groups. So I'm more involved across the whole company versus focusing so much on what we're doing operationally. And then along with that, spending more time with customers, really thinking long-term for our company on our current strategy of what our core values are, and our business strategies, our core strategies that we're trying to focus on, where we invest our time and our money. So that's the big change for me, and that's where my growth is trying to make sure I talked about being present, but being present across the whole organization versus being so focused on what we're doing operationally within our chemical plants.
What about something, so you've got to make a shift even in the questions you're asking yourself and how you think. What do you do daily to kind of stay on top of that? Do you have a ritual? Do you have something, that you do every single day that makes you successful?
I'll be honest with you. The thing that I'm a high energy person. If I get up in the morning and the first thing I try to do is get a workout of some sort. It could be running. It could be a long walk, anything just to get my heart rate up. And I'm better whenever I have that physical activity in the morning. And I find that my productivity is much higher whenever I'm having that consistency every single day. That I think that's the biggest thing for me, as far as I know. I feel like with everyone that works from home more so now, I've learned that that's not really a place for me where I function well. I'm better around people. I pull energy off of my coworkers. I like to be in the office and being around our employees and really hearing the things that are going on, because you never know that conversation that's going on the right side of the room, that, hey, I didn't know that was going on. Let me ask a few questions. But it's the energy of our employees, working with people every day that drives me.
Well, again, we talked off mic, and I think this will be great content because a lot of people really mentally are struggling right now, right? We talked about supply chain. There's inflation. 2 years ago, work from everybody's home. Some people are back. Now you got to figure out hybrid and hiring. There's just a lot. And you guys took on 2 big projects in the middle of it, and you're still handling all of it. I mean, you guys as a company handle all that. So for you, how do you stay optimistic, or what do you believe in that makes the day worth getting out of bed and getting after it?
Well, we've been fortunate because we have constantly challenged ourselves to be better. And I drive energy on the fact that we have strategic projects that are in front of us, and it can be a website redevelopment. It can be starting up a new branch. It can be starting up what we consider a new strategic focus of our business. It could be our ERP change. We have successfully been able to do so much, and we're a small company, and it fires you up. When you see a team or multiple teams, multiple groups that take on roles and challenges, things they've never done before, and complete them. And then you look back and you look at the consultants you work with, and they say, I know this has been hard for you, but I want you to tell you, this is one of the best we've ever had. Then it really gets you excited. And you say, well, what's next? My boss, he calls me all the time, and he'll say, man, we're doing pretty well. He said, what's next? What's next? What's next on the agenda? And so that's what we do. We're coming home. We were tired. We're traveling around to different locations, and we're flying home. And the question is, hey, I've got this idea. This is what I think is up next. Is we're constantly thinking about what's next. They're not going to all be home runs, right? But sometimes the what's next is kind of looking at the results and saying, wow, those are nice. I can't wait to set those new targets.
No, that's really good. Always having something to look forward to and accomplish. It goes back to no complacency.
Oh man, it's just one of my weaknesses is the fact that I don't celebrate well. I don't celebrate well because a lot of times you see that this is now successful, and then it's not finished yet. And so you get to the end, but you've already seen that we've done what we wanted to do, right? We've met our goals, and but I've already moved on to the next one. It's the next thing. It's that next list of opportunities, because that's what they are. They're all opportunities for us to go and achieve something. So
there's nothing wrong with staying excited, though. Yeah, I don't celebrate well either. I mean, that's when you give it everything you've got and you're not afraid to fail, and then you keep after the target. You're supposed to get there, right?
Well, when we are creating, when you identify an opportunity, let's not call it a problem. Let's not call it a problem. Let's call it an opportunity. When you identify an opportunity, and then you start that process of creating what's going to be the solution, it just fires me up. And it gets we love I think our team loves the creation step. In that creation of what we're going to do and what we're going to do next. So.
Well, shifting just a little bit, you personally have had a lot of growth in your career. Who have you been around that you've admired or that's invested in you? How important has that been?
Well, my mother and father, they set the tone when they saw that we could achieve certain things. That became the bar. If you could only make C's, okay, well, you can't do, oh, you can make B's. Oh, wait a minute, you can make A's and B's. Oh, you can make straight. It didn't matter what it was. If you achieved it, that became the new bar. And they, and they really pushed us, my sister and I, to continue to grow every day. But also, my father is a person that he's not really satisfied ever either. And as I grow up and I look at myself and I look at his passion was in his work, and the successes he had within his job, and he worked in the chemical industry also. He got as high as he could go with his educational background. And I mean, and he worked for a major company and he really excelled. And I look back and I think about the things that sometimes I would hear him say things that I was like, oh, you didn't really do that, or he didn't. And it was all I learned as I grew up. It was all true. And it was, and he basically instilled that same part about, it's not good enough. We're going to do more. We can do better. We need to follow we should be following the rules and the principles. And if we do those things, then good things are going to happen to us. And then professionally, I've been fortunate. Every manager I've ever worked for basically told me I was there to take their job. And I've said this to people many times, and people say, how are you so fortunate that you had people that looked at you that way? I can't answer that question. All I can tell you is I work hard. I want to learn. I'm willing to take on more, and then I have the people there that were looking at me saying, come on, I want you to take this. I'm getting promoted, so you need to get promoted. If I'm leaving, I want you to get this job, not someone else get this job, right? And that was the first words from my first boss, after college was, you're here to take my job. That's your job. Your job is to come and take my job. And he meant I'm going to get promoted. So I would love for you to come and follow my path, right? And I just don't think there's enough people that get that. I don't think there's enough people that, sometimes people want to hide talent. And I'm not that guy. If the opportunity I have for someone, there's a better one for them, I want to shake their hand. I want to give them a hug. We just had that happen recently. Had an excellent employee that he had an opportunity that was better for him. And what do? You shake his hand, you give him a hug, and you smile, and you say, man, I'm happy that you're going to get that opportunity. We don't want to hide talent. Talent needs to thrive, and I've just been fortunate to been given a lot of opportunities, and I push forward, and that's what I want to do. I want to take on more. I want to learn more. I want to be challenged. I don't want anybody telling me hey man, you're doing a good job when you're not doing a good job. I want to be able to, what else do I need to do to be better?
So I got one more question. I grew up and I wish I loved reading when I was younger. We had to, right? Never really loved it. And then you get into a career and you realize, wow, somebody took their wisdom, their talents, and hundreds of hours and put it all on pieces of paper for us to learn from. And so it's been one of the most impactful things I've done as a professional is read. Are there a couple books that, man, you're really passionate about that you reread again, or you say, hey, you guys really need to check this out?
Well, the first one is Martin Luther King Jr.'s book on leadership. It's good from the first page to the last page. What Martin Luther King Jr. was able to accomplish, and he was able to do it by gaining the respect of the people, leading the people, and being willing to be part of the people. He was a strategist, and I don't know if people understood that in order to accomplish what he was able to lead, he was a strategist, and that book has been very impactful. I've given that book to fellow employees. I told them about it, and they got them excited, and given that book to people for them to read, just to see how he accomplished what he accomplished. And then the second book is Good to Great, and Good to Great is it's a common business book, but it talks about what does it take for a good company that's getting good results to be a great company with sustainable growth over time, and understanding how you make sure that I'm not. Sometimes people, especially right now, you get into the rush of hiring anybody, and you can hire anybody, or you can hire the right body, and that's so important to understand what's my role and how do I find that right fit for that role? Because if you find the right fit, you're going to be able to accomplish way more than just making do. And then the other thing within there is it's got a hedgehog principle, but it talks about where your space is. And a lot of times companies, they have a space that they operate in, and they work well within that area, but then they jump and they try to push outside their box, right? And what we try to do is we try to talk about pushing the hedgehog. So this is where I work well, and I want to get out here, but in order to get there, I have to work out here and here and here, and I'm going to press that hedgehog to make what I do well a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. So that's probably more than what you're asking, but
oh, that's perfect.
Those two impactful books for me.
So if anybody listens to this and wants to ask you a question or get in contact with you, do you have like a preferred email? Do you accept messages on social? What's that look like for you?
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of me is just my email address, and it's bmiller@brainerdchemical.com. B as in Brian, Miller brainerdchemical.com.
Everybody, thank you. I'm Kellen Cowan, president of New Wave Solutions. Brian, thank you for giving.